See God making a way, just for me, just for me. Many doors you close just for me. Sometimes God will say no, so I'll be tested in the fire to purify my desires. So my blessings won't be just for me. So caught up in myself, I could not see. The world did not revolve around me. So storms are in God's will, so I can feel what others feel, their needs. If I could speak honestly, it don't feel good. But growing never does, it don't seem fair. For this to be called love, but if necessary pain is the ingredient for change. Even when life may be bittersweet, working just for me. All the moments I miss that were just for me, because I chose not to wait patiently. Before every mistake was the same amount of grace that kept my blessings waiting just for me. But trusting your timing is not easy, and what I want's not always what I need. And I could not see God is here to live through me. I see, if I could speak honestly, it don't feel good. But growing never does, it don't seem fair. For this to be called love, but if necessary pain is the ingredient for change. Even when life may be bittersweet, it's working.
I'm feeling broken like, and now my heart is like, I'm singing, and now I'm growing like, cause it was painful like, come on.
It don't feel good. Oh no. But growing never does. It don't seem fair. For this to be called love, but if necessary pain is the ingredient for change. Even when life may be bittersweet, it don't feel good. But growing never does, it don't seem fair. But this to call this love, but if necessary pain is the ingredient for change. Even when life may be bittersweet, it's working just for me. Making a way, just for me, just for me. Making a way, just for me, just for me. God making a way, just for me, just for me. God making a way, just for me, just for me.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. Whether you're joining us online or in person, we are grateful that you are here. If you're here for the first time, welcome. If you did not receive a welcome packet on your way in, please raise your hand so an usher may bring one to you. Please fill in the card and stop by the Welcome Center in the foyer, ask questions, and connect with us. Most of all, we want to welcome you and thank you for joining us today. Okay. Anybody else want to talk about the elephant in the room? Yes. In case you didn't hear, there's a little bit of a virus going around the world, and with regard to COVID-19, things are changing minute by minute. We want to let you know that leadership is making decisions from a place of peace and with the interests of all in mind. We are advising that everyone follow the CDC recommendations of washing your hands regularly for 20 seconds, keeping 6 feet of space, and all of the other recommendations we've been hearing. Air hugs, namaste, it's been everywhere, which has been really sweet, and jazz hands, smiles, in place of hugs and handshakes. In addition, we have a special poem that we'll be reading in place of Surely the Presence. And with regards to upcoming events, including Sunday services, please watch the website and social media for the most up-to-date information. As of today, here's what's happening. Today is the final day to purchase the live stream from Panache Desai's workshop, You Are Enough. You'll be able to savor it as many times as you would like through April the 15th, and it does begin with that very special rendition of Amazing Grace sung by our own John Fleming. Also, if you would like a CD of Marianne Williamson's talk, it is available in the bookstore. Just check in with Melissa. And starting on Tuesday evening, March the 24th, join LUT Anita Farrell for a 5-week spiritual education class on prosperity. You will dive deep into the principles of that nature and foster a consciousness of prosperity and affluence for every area of your life. More than likely, we'll be offering this class online. Please register online. For now, both our adult rally and the Rainbow Fellowship White Elephant Sale have been postponed. We will keep you posted when that gets rescheduled. For all of our upcoming events, plus much more, you can find all of that information on our UCO app. You can sign up for notifications to stay informed about important information, participate in polls, receive Sunday reminders, and more by downloading our app, texting UCO app to 77977. Now, as we move into a more sacred time, please silence your phones as we begin this morning's worship service.
Good morning. On this past Friday evening, I was given a great gift and privilege to spend time with this current Path class at the Path class dinner. And I was overwhelmed by the fullness and presence of God, love at that dinner. It had me weeping, because these individuals were on fire for the spiritual truths that we talk about, teach about, and seek to live. And they're ready. And as I arrived at that dinner on Friday evening, a dear friend of mine sent me something that really touched my heart. And I'm here to share that with you today. It's called Pandemic. What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel. Cease from buying and selling. Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing. Pray. Touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You can hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has become clear. Do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live. And I just want to conclude this with saying this to you. Right where I am, the Spirit of the living God is, and God and I are a majority. And right where you are, the Spirit of the living God is, and you and God are a majority. God bless.
A copy of that poem is in your bulletin so that you can take that home with you. Today's opening prayer is inspired by my wife and friends who have years or even decades of sobriety under their belts. Because what I have seen them model so beautifully is such a center and serenity in every situation. And while I have never been to a 12-step meeting, every time that I use the first 3 steps, something miraculous happens to me. And I hope that it will for us collectively. So today's opening prayer is an adaptation of those 3 steps. I would like to invite our chaplains and our chaplain emeriti to please stand as the light bearers of truth that they are. My ego nature is powerless over fear. And when I allow it to dominate my thinking, my life is unmanageable. I believe in a higher power that restores me to sanity. And so I surrender my life and my will and my fear to God, to the God within that illumines the peace that is always available to me, to that God around me that is available as angels seen and unseen, that is available in my fellow human beings that can behold the Christ in me as I behold the Christ in you. And I surrender it to the God as principle, that when I allow myself to become a conduit and channel in my thinking and feeling of peace and of love and of wholeness, that it must manifest in the outer world. That is the law. That is the law of mind action. That is God principle at work in my life, in our lives, and in the world. And so I stand in a place of certainty and peace and love. I stand with all of you with great joy. And I release this truth knowing it is so. And so it is. Amen.
We ask that you please stand and sing along to the congregation song.
Some glad morning I can rise above. I'll fly away to a place of wisdom, peace, and love. I'll fly away. I'll fly away. Oh, yes, I will. I'll fly away. When I rise, hallelujah, by and by.
lot of motion on the stage right now here. Anybody remember the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Did that kind of have that same tone to it? Lovely, lovely, lovely.
You do know that's an old song, right?
That is a whole song?
No, it's an old song.
Old song. Well, I think
Okay,
it
I'm
might
gonna
have.
have to educate everybody. Hold on.
Roderick Stanford.
You cannot be that enlightened to not know I'll Fly Away, okay? Who knew that song from when they were kids? Learn something.
Okay. I'm still staying with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Hey, welcome to Unity Church of the Hills, where we have a lot of fun. Hey, whether you're joining us online, and I hope you are, or in person, we are grateful to be with you today. Now, each week at this time, we affirm either our mission or vision, one of our 5 principles, or one of our own value statements. And today, we're focused on our 4th value, spiritual growth. Join me as we read it together. We are here to awaken to our true essence and to fulfill our spiritual potential. We attune to Spirit's guidance and grow in our capacity for love. Amen. Amen. If this is your first Sunday here at Unity Church of the Hills, we welcome you, especially today. We are a spiritual community of truth seekers who honor all paths to God, and we strive to demonstrate love and acceptance to everyone. If this is your first time here at Unity Church of the Hills, would you be willing to stand and remain standing while we give you a brief blessing? Yes. I ask the congregation to repeat after me. Welcome. We are grateful you joined us today. We are blessed by your presence. We honor your spiritual journey. Welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. Unity Church of the Hills. Thank you. I would now like to invite our board president, Frank Phelan, to the platform for a brief update.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome everybody who's here in person today, and welcome everybody who's joining us online. In my board update today, I was thinking about what to say and realized that as I've been putting out pieces to folks at my work about how we're moving forward, even in the construction of those documents, things have been changing. And so we're in a period right now of a lot of transition about what's happening in our society and so forth. And one of the things I can tell you is that our board of trustees is sitting in a place of principle around all of this. We're spending time in contemplation, prayer together, meditation together, and taking our decision-making process from this place of spiritual principle, resting in peace, resting in serenity, resting in love. And that's where we're coming from to make the decisions that we get to make as servants to the congregation. And so as we move forward and things develop and unfold, we'll continue to keep you apprised of things that are going on. But what I can tell you is that we are in the process of moving forward with expanding our virtual presence. Right now, the city of Austin has taken some actions restricting larger groups meeting. We don't know if that's going to change or not, but we will keep you posted as things go forward. I would also like to let you know that we are really emphasizing the opportunity to participate with Time, Talent, and Treasure online. So if you are online participating in the Facebook live feed, participate with the community. And like I said, we're going to be expanding places to participate there. Also in online giving. We stressed that at our first service this morning, and then right after the first service, Tammy came up to me and said, the online giving is down. And that's okay, it's okay. And what we found out from the PushPay people is that they're overloaded, People are getting online and virtually participating to the level of we can't keep up with the giving. So please, be patient. If when you go to give, you get a site that's not working, come back a little bit later and try it again. The last thing is today we're going to be handling our giving here a little bit differently, and so I just want to let everybody know that in advance. And we're going to be honoring the concept that there's nothing but God here right now, in this moment. That's all that's happening right here, right now. So we'll keep you posted. Again, the Board of Trustees is available. Board members that are here, feel free to reach out to us, contact us anytime, and enjoy the service. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. It's the time in our service when we practice short, powerful prayers that we call affirmations. They are statements of I am truth. So together, I invite us to say these affirmations. I am divinely created in the image and likeness of God, born with unlimited creative power and Christ potential. I enthusiastically co-create my life with God, infusing my every thought, word, and action with Christ's love. I joyfully connect with my indwelling Christ presence in daily prayer and silent meditation. I willingly express the unconditional love of the Christ I am in every experience. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
This morning, in lieu of the traditional meditation, we're going to use this song as our meditation. So I will ask you at this time, if you're comfortable, sit back, relax, get things out of your hands, as we move into this moment of meditation. And during this moment, we would like you to think on the challenges that we're all facing today as a community and as a world, and ask, how are we supporting a positive outcome? Are you giving in to the frenzy of fear, or do you know that with God all things are possible, and we will get through this collectively, individually, as a universe, as a community of faith, as a church? So ask yourself, how am I a part of the solution? And center on the goodness that we know that is, as we go through this individual journey, and we will keep affirming all of the blessings that we know God is bestowing upon us. we are as one with God and of God. We are the peace, we are the love, we are the power and the strength. We embody all that is to continue to make this movement move forward in God's name. As a community, I ask to join in with us and sing that we are God's song. We are that one power, connected and continually going out and doing good. We are that one blessing. So we ask you to sing along with us as we continue this moment of meditation.
I am your song, God. 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 I am your orchestrate your symphony through me.
Here when celebration is here is always a bonus. It's great. Thank you guys. Beautiful. Orchestrate your symphony through me. Wow. Couldn't we use some more of that? Well, it's available to us. It's available to us wherever we are in whatever circumstances we're experiencing. What we have to do is make ourselves available and transparent to allow that symphony to express through us. And the symphony, of course, is a symphony of love in all circumstances. That's the only real choice that we have available to us, although we make up a list of other choices we think we have. And one of those choices that we think we have is to choose fear instead of love. And we do that quite often, actually. I'll probably do it before the day's over. No, we don't do this. We don't choose love perfectly. But the good news is that when we choose love, the power of love is exponentially greater than the force of fear. So even if we're choosing fear quite frequently and even have a habit of choosing fear, that when we turn our attention to choosing love, it cancels out a lot of those choices of fear every time we choose love. Because love has unlimited creative power, unlimited potential. I've said this before and I'll say this again, and we can think about this and take some of the pressure off of us, is that we have unlimited potential. Now take that in for just a moment. Say it to yourself. I have unlimited potential. Right? And if you have unlimited potential, you can never actually, in reality, achieve your potential. Right? Because your potential is unlimited. Isn't that good news? Isn't that good news? That I don't have to do it perfectly, but that as I choose to express love, as I choose to allow the symphony of love to come through me, that it cancels out all the times I chose fear instead. And right now, fear seems to be, and I emphasize that word, seems to be dominant. fear seems to be an ascendancy, but it's not in reality. Because as our good friend Lance Lean says, there's nothing but God here. And since God is love, there's nothing but love here. And everything that is here is God. Everything that is here is love. In A Course in Miracles, it says that there's a simple little statement at the beginning of Course in Miracles, and it says that if you understand this statement, you don't have to do the Course in Miracles. And it's a really simple statement to memorize and to commit to memory. Right? Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Let's say that together. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. And therein lies the peace of God. Therein is your recipe for peace in your life. So what seems to be going on in the world, I'm not downplaying it. There are certainly events and circumstances going on in the world, and we should be prudent in living in this experience, and we should take precautions. As you can see, we're kind of distancing ourselves from each other, right? And even that presents an opportunity for us to see the divine order in that social distancing. Because quite frankly, there's a lot of tension going on even before this came up. And we could use a break. We could go to your room. Right? Take a break. Take a break. Decompress. Put it in neutral for a little while. You can always pick it back up if you choose to do it, but take some time out and go to neutral. So today is part 2 of our series on spiritual resilience. And if you were at part 1, then you know that really what this is about is really a reiteration of the unity principles, the fundamentals of unity, if you will. And last week, whenever I ended the service, I ended it with the idea of practice, practice, practice. That it's not only how you get to Carnegie Hall, it's how we attain spiritual mastery in our lives, by practicing the principles that we say we know. As I was preparing for today's talk, usually on Sundays, as I'm preparing for the talk in the morning, even when I'm driving to other services, I usually dial up YouTube videos of other Unity ministers and see how they're dealing with the subject I might be talking about that day. And this morning, whenever I was getting ready, I dialed up YouTube and I typed in Unity Principles in the YouTube query line. And near the very top of the things that came up was our very own Bob Withrow. True story, true story. And it was his talk from about a year or two ago on the Unity Principles. It's getting close to 4,000 views, so I want to encourage everybody to go to YouTube and watch that video a few times this week, and let's push Bob over 4,000 views on YouTube. I think they should be monetizing that anytime soon there, Bob. But he gives a good, succinct, much more succinct than I do, I can tell you, because I talk way longer than Bob does. Bob did a really, really good job at compressing the Unity Principles down into about a 15-minute presentation. 5 minutes of his presentation was encouraging everybody in the audience to talk to one another, meet somebody that you didn't know, and to practice those principles. So it's a really, really good, if you're trying to get these things into your head, watching Bob's video is a good way to reinforce that in your daily practice and so forth. So let's reiterate the 5 Unity Principles real quick. Last week we talked principally about Unity Principles number 1 and 2. Today I'm going to focus on 3, 4, and 5 predominantly, but let's just recite these. So principle number 1 says there's only one power, one presence active in the universe and in my life. We call that power and presence God, and we say that power and that presence is all good. Other expressions for this in Emily Cady's Lessons on Truth says God is life, God is love, God is intelligence, God is omnipresence, omnipotence, omniscience. These are all qualities that we attribute to the divine mind. All knowledge, all power, all presence. As we say in the prayer for protection, wherever we are, God is, and all is well, right? It's not that God is portable. God is not portable because God's already there wherever I go. And why is that? Because unity principle says what? I am created in the image and the likeness of God. Therefore, I too am divine. I have that spark of God. I have that spark of Christ within me. Has anybody ever created something in their life that is unlike themselves, something that you don't have any knowledge of? Can you create something that you have no knowledge of? No, you can't, and neither can God. God can only create from the knowledge and the truth that God is, right? So when he created us from that same knowledge, created us of that same power. So I'm a child of God, you're a child of God. We have a spark of divinity within us, right? And so do we always act from our divinity? Has anybody figured that one out yet? Oh, Tracy, good. Come on up here, Tracy. Let's hear how you're doing with that. I want the secret. Right, we're oscillating back and forth between choosing from our divinity and choosing from our ego. We're oscillating back and forth between choosing love, choosing fear. And we do that all day long, every day of our lives. And that's what unity principle number 3 talks about, is that we're co-creating this experience by the thoughts and the feelings that we allow to dominate in our consciousness. Has anybody ever said to yourself, oh, I wish so-and-so was dead. I wish something bad would happen to so-and-so. Well, thankfully, gratefully, God doesn't actually act on all those things as soon as we say them. Right? We have to put our attention behind it, and we have to continue to repeatedly think about that thing before it comes into manifestation. So we have time to correct our course, right? Oh, cancel. No, I didn't really mean that. I was afraid for just a moment. I forgot who I am. I forgot who this other person was. And now that I've remembered that I am a child of God and so are they, I can correct my course and choose love instead. Cancel. Right? And then the more I focus on the love, then pretty soon this problem I thought I had with this person is gone. It never actually really existed, right? It was just something that I made up, something that I thought about until I thought I had a problem. So unity principle number 3 is reminding us that we're co-creating this experience. Whatever's happening in the world, A Course in Miracles tells us that whatever happens out here is effectively neutral. It has no meaning until I decide what it means for me, and you decide what it means for you. So the coronavirus going around right now, not to make light of it, it's a physical thing that we're all having to experience and everything, but the fear that we create around it, that's ours. That's not endemic, that's not present in the virus. The virus is just a virus doing what viruses do. How we respond or react to it, that's up to us. Okay? So I want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to encourage everybody to continue to take precautions, but if you think about it, if you listen to all these health officials and everything, the precautions they're telling us to take are the same things we tell kindergartners, pretty much. Wash your hands, and while you're washing your hands, sing happy birthday to you twice. That takes about 20 seconds to do, and your hands will be, clean, right? So it's simple little things. It's common sense things to do. We don't need to lose our minds about it. We need to be vigilant, and we need to be prudent, but we don't need to lose our minds about it. And if we do lose our minds about it, that's what unity principle number 3 is telling us, that we're creating this experience by the thoughts and the feelings that we allow to dominate in our consciousness. So if I'm in a mode of allowing fear to be prevalent in my consciousness, then I'm going to act fearfully. If I affirm the truth and I choose love instead, I'm going to have a sense of safety, a sense of security, a sense of prudence. That's what spiritual resilience is about. That's what gives us buoyancy to bounce back from adversity, to stand firm in our convictions and our principles, even in the face of challenges. And there's no doubt this is a challenge. Denials and affirmations is another practice here in unity. And I've always thought that denials are kind of a slippery slope because they kind of, you can say a denial in a certain way that actually continues to have the thing going on in your life. So we're not denying the circumstances. We're not denying the reality of what's going on. We're denying the power we're denying that it has no power to threaten my peace unless I volunteer and allow it to threaten my peace. That's what Course in Miracles is teaching us. We're choosing between love and fear. Love and fear. Love and fear. Oscillating between love and fear all day long, every day of our lives. And as we've already determined here, everybody except Tracy is not doing it perfectly yet. So we'll have Tracy up here pretty soon to clue us in on the secret. But even if there is a secret, the secret really is found in how I closed out last week's service is practice, practice, practice. That if we're practicing the principles that we live by, and we practice them consistently, then we're going to get the fruits and rewards of practicing those principles. If we ignore those principles and practice something else, we'll get the effects and consequences of that something else. That's like Physics 101, cause and effect. That we are free to choose. We do have free will. We are free to choose. But we can't escape the consequences of the choices that we put into motion. Woof, woof. There we go. Right on. I hear you. We can't escape the consequences of the choices that we put into motion, right? Thankfully, we can change course. Thankfully, we can do what Course in Miracles tells us, choose again. If I have chosen wrongly, I'm going to experience those effects and consequences. If I'm not at peace, I have chosen wrongly. If I want to be at peace, I must choose again. And thank God, literally, thank God, that we have the capacity to choose again and correct our course, right? Otherwise, my consciousness would have been a mess a long time ago. I would have never gotten out of the ditch, but I learned some new principles and I learned a new way of thinking. But just learning it is not enough, right? Just knowing this stuff is not enough. We know a lot of stuff, but it has no effect and consequence in our life unless we do what? Live it. Unless we practice, practice, practice. And I don't believe that practice makes perfect. I believe that perfect practice makes perfect. And once again, Tracy's the only one that has figured that out. I love you, Tracy. So if I get off course, if I forget who I am, if I'm having a bad day and I'm choosing fear and I'm having a bad day, Unity Principle number 4 says, hey, here's the strategy for self-correction. Go into the silence. Spend some time in silent prayer, meditation. Practice affirmative speech. Speak about your life in affirmative terms. I am. I choose. Y'all know that active, I'm an English major, so one of the things I learned a long time, y'all know the difference between an active and a passive voice? Like when you're writing, teacher give you back to saying, you're writing in the passive voice. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's like this. Active voice is, I hit the ball. I hit. That's an active voice. The ball was hit by me. That's passive voice. So think about that. The ball was hit by me takes 6 words to make the statement. I hit the ball takes 4 words. It's way more efficient to speak in active voice. Way more efficient to speak in affirmative language than it is to speak in the opposite. It takes more words and it's a convoluted structure. So if you're trying to practice affirmations or denials for that matter, and your sentence construction is getting very complicated, erase it, start over, and think about being in the active voice. I am in the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. It's way more powerful. It brings up the vibrations of our energy. I know Tammy is. Any Dr. Hawkins fans in here? Power versus force and things like that? That's what he's talking about in there. Is that when we're choosing that affirmative language, it ultimately has more creative power. That the negative language, the fear-based language, is what he calls force. And the exponential power that we gain when we're speaking affirmatively and aligning ourselves with the higher energies cancels out a lot. That's why I think he says somewhere in that book that one person resonating at the energy of unconditional love, which is 500 on his ascending scale from 0 to 1,000, that one person resonating at the energy of unconditional love cancels out the fear and the force of 1 million people. Think about that. That's staggering, but I believe it's true. So we're here, we're here in America. There's 330 million of us. If there are 330 masters of love, they're kind of keeping us between the lines, no matter how much we might choose in the opposite. Fortunately, there's not 330 million of us choosing fear and force. Otherwise, we would be living in the zombie apocalypse. We would be on AMC on Sunday nights. The Walking Dead. Right? There are plenty of us choosing love. I believe everybody in this room is choosing love just by your very presence here this morning. Had you had to have gone through a calculation in your mind this morning, should I go? Should I not go? They're saying not to go in big groups. No, I'm going. I'm going. Because wherever I am, God is and all is well. And there is a divine order being revealed even if I can't see it right now. Trusting in the principles that I say that I believe in is what gives me spiritual resilience. That is what gives me buoyancy, allows me to face the challenges and the adversities that come in my way. All of us, except Tracy, all of us have adversities and challenges, right? That's a given. That's not a bad thing or a good thing. It just is a fact. It's how we respond to those challenges that makes the difference. We can either react in our fear or respond in love. If I respond in love, there's all kinds of other qualities that go along with that. A sense of safety, a sense of unity, that my work is to say, you know what? Unconditional love means what it says. Unconditional love. That means if I catch myself in consciousness or even in word or action judging someone else, then I have to go, whoa, that's not my goal. My goal here is to practice the unconditional love. So I have to find a way to neutralize that and bring that back into consciousness and say, you know what? Course in Miracles has this statement that says, everybody goes to heaven, and heaven is incomplete until everybody is present. Heaven is unity, right? Isn't that the idea that we're all there in love? All of us. Oh, except this one guy. No. He's got to go somewhere else. We can't. No. Everybody goes to heaven, or none of us go to heaven. Heaven is incomplete unless we're all there. I can practice that in consciousness and have to practice that in consciousness every single day. That's the work. That's the walk. That's what it means to practice the principles. So in closing, let me just recap. There's only one power, one presence active in the universe and in my life, God, and it's a good power. In fact, it's all good. There really is no opposing power. There's only God's power. God is life, love, truth, wisdom, intelligence, omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence, and that I am created in the image and likeness of God. I'm created from God, as God, of God. Therefore, I'm a divine child, and so are you. And so is everyone else, including the people who challenge you. And that in my thoughts and my feelings that I allow to dominate my consciousness, that's how I'm creating my reality. That's how I'm creating the vibration tone that I resonate at. And if I want to ascend the scale of the vibrations in Dr. Hawkins' work, then I must get really, really good at practicing choosing love in all circumstances with everyone. And if I forget, I can go into the silence and practice my prayers, my affirmative prayers, and my daily meditations and so forth to reconnect with the indwelling Christ presence that is within me. And then go back out into the world and do what? Take action. Because it doesn't matter if I know these things. It doesn't matter if I can give you an elevator pitch and tell you what these principles are. It only matters if I live them. So I'm going to close today, like I closed last week, with a reminder to each one of us. Practice practice, practice. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you for keeping us in principle. We get to rest in that. And now is the time when we get to practice our principle of giving of our good, to contribute back into our community, in spite of the fact that we are shifting things to virtual presence in various forms and fashion over time. We still have a full-scale operation that's going on here with the complete staff. We have services, we have classes, and so your support individually and collectively is important at this time. So I'm going to invite you to participate and participate using your active voice. We have so many different ways that we can participate in this, but we're going to do it a little bit differently today. We're going to have the basket be brought up front, and we also have the baskets towards the back as well, too. So instead of passing the basket around, we're going to invite you all to come forward or to the back and do what is yours to do. We also have the online ability to give through texting. The kiosk in the foyer is still up there. If you're giving online or by mail, there are cards in the pews that you can pick up and put in the basket with your offering. And we have a special piece today that I mentioned earlier, and that is at the baskets, we have a NBGH, Nothing But God Here bookmark for you all to take home as a reminder that there is nothing but God here all the time. Thank you. And we'll say our offering blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful.
Story to tell you about some things that I've been through, but I'm here. Oh, I'm healed. Had some ups and some downs. scars. I am healed. Circumstances, I'm still healed. Disappointments, I am healed. They have some scars. I am healed. Circumstances, I'm still healed. Disappointments, I am healed. Oh, I am healed. Hey, you are healed. I am healed. I am healed. With God's love, I am healed. Oh, I am healed. We are. I am healed. I am healed. With God's love, I am healed. Woo!
So we'll take just a moment to bless these gifts and these tithes, to acknowledge the gift, the giver, the intention that we bring to this work, to this effort, to this community, to this world, to see the Christ in everybody, to be that peace, to see that potential. And we see this being carried out in ever widening circles of unconditional love. Amen.
We can clap for that.
Yeah.
And now the very special part of today's services. We did this at the 9:25 and now the 11:25. It says I'm supposed to share a few words. I like our vision and mission statements. We are an ever-expanding community of love and acceptance where lives are transformed. We put God first, celebrate life, serve truth, and empower people to transform their lives. Those statements are never more true than when we have our PATH class experience. And this past experience was, as always, amazing. Not amazing for, I think, the people that were there that are about to become our newest members, but also for Tammy and I, who get to share in that awakening that we can see occurring every single Sunday. Every single Sunday. May I ask the new PATH graduates to stand? So that's a 300% increase from the 925. We had 16 in this class, and I think I see 4 standing here today, so thank you. May I ask you to come forward and join us on the platform? This is a real special Sunday each time we do this, not only for these 4 folks, 16 folks represented by 4, but each and every one of us to be reminded of our own spiritual path, our journey, and how it feels to be truly home. So I invite each one of us here in this sanctuary and online joining us to just take the next few seconds to reflect upon your spiritual journey, where you have been, where you are now, and to know the blessing that exists wherever we are, because God is. We are blessed, and is good. I'd now like to invite the congregation to stand and join us in welcoming our newest members with our blessing. Dear ones, we welcome you as whole, perfect expressions of God into this community. We honor your spiritual path and hold sacred space for your journey. We are grateful that you chose to become a vital part of this community. Together, we are creating a spiritual home where all are welcomed, where all are loved, where lives are indeed transformed. We love you. Welcome home! Yes! What? So what do I do? Do I invite them in? So we're going to welcome the kids into I am going to welcome the kids into You Are My Sunshine, which I have just done.